Oskaloosa City Council to order. Today is Tuesday, February 20th, 2024. We start with the invocation from Gateway Church of the Nazarene.
Let's pray. Jesus, we love you and thank you for your many blessings. And dear Lord, we're called according to your word to pray for our leaders. And dear Lord, tonight we pray for our city leaders and their willingness to serve on city council, different services within the city community, dear Lord. And I pray blessings on them. I pray that as they serve and as they lead, that they would make wise decisions, that you would give them understanding, because the decisions they make today affect us today and tomorrow. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. You guys will join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor. Roll call, please.
Drost,
Yes.
Ocean,
Yes.
Almonds,
Yes.
Caligari.
Yes. Here.
Oh.
Oh, sorry.
No, she did not order.
Next item is community comments. This item is reserved to receive comments from the community for concerns whether or not they're included on the current agenda. The community is encouraged to speak before the mayor and city council. Asked to keep statements brief. Time would be limited to no more than 3 minutes. Any questions are to be asked of the city staff, council members, or the mayor prior to speaking to the full council, so that way concerns can be properly researched and perhaps answered away from the meeting. Comments are to be directed to the mayor and city council only. Is there anyone who would like to speak tonight?
Alicia Helm of Oskaloosa. First off, thank you for voting to allow the special election for Ward 4, the council seat. And then second, I'm sure you're aware that the Mahaska County Supervisors signed a letter they plan to send, if they haven't already, to the Iowa DOT in opposition to what the city is trying to do with annexation plans. They go as far as to say the annexation is legally questionable. They mention the City Development Board cannot approve annexation unless, quote, the city will be able to provide to the territory substantial municipal services and benefits not previously enjoyed by such territory, and that the motive for annexation is not solely to increase revenues within the city. Isn't that the main reason besides building an airport? Not to mention the actions of the SCRAA are stressing the relationship between the city and the county. Third concerns the SCRAA and the city. The SCRAA has targeted 60 days to modify the 2080 agreement based upon the open meetings complaint filed with the Iowa Public Information Board. It's long overdue that it needs updated, but I'm encouraging the city to remove themselves from the 2080. If Pella decides to leave, where does this leave Oskaloosa? You will be on the hook for all of it, and you need Pella to complete this unnecessary project. It's very obvious that those landowners have no desire to sell their land, and you stated you won't use eminent domain. You can say it's on the back burner, but how about taking it off the back burner and just admitting defeat and move on and use the money for stuff that will actually be beneficial for all? If you're not going to disband the SCRA, then you should be holding them accountable, because if you don't, you can be sure the citizens of Mahaska County will. Oskaloosa, 401 South Market, right down the road.
Thank you. Okay.
He had one too.
Brant Bowman, 1211 South Market. For my job, I have to travel around a lot, and I've been keeping notes of some of the places that I've been around Iowa that are a little bit smaller than Oskaloosa, same size as us, maybe a little bigger. Some of them are like Corden, Tama, Toledo, Albia, Knoxville, Fairfield, Washington, just to name a few. And these are all places that are transitioning from 4 lanes to 3 lanes. And I've seen a lot of conversation on the internet about complaining about this shift. And I've really thought about that. And I was just thinking, if the data is true, and I usually believe data and science, if it's true and if it saves one life, and I mean just one life, I think it's worth it for us to wait a few extra minutes crossing towns. I don't know what the giant rush is where people think that it's the the Southern Iowa Speedway coming down A Avenue. But we all need to take a breath and relax and know that we're not the only ones. I wonder if all those other towns have people who are, you know, getting petitions around to try to switch the lanes back, because it's not something that you guys did on your own. It's something that the data says to do, and I personally support that shift. So stick to your guns. Keep being safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Sheila Geider, Rose Hill, Highway 92. I am looking at the agenda and have some concerns about the street closures during the chamber meetings. When the chamber hosts different events, Sweet Corn Serenade, Turn the Lights On, we have a business on the square and the manager of New Carroll Home Medical here. The issue that I have with that is where the street closures are and during the times that that happens, because I am federally governed. Medicare pays my salary, pays the staff salary, and part of me being in compliance with that and staying accredited is maintaining 24-hour access for our respiratory department, which we provide oxygen maybe to some of your parents, some of your kids. And so we definitely have got to maintain that. There's one handicap spot in front, and when these street closures happen, it makes it very challenging for my handicap folks to get to me, to get their oxygen needs met, to get their hospital beds, things of that nature. And I've gone to some chamber meetings, and there was some resolution, some good ideas brought forth, but still it's not allowing me to stay in compliance with my availability, which really has us looking at, do we want to continue being on the square? And as much as we love it, we have to look at practicality. So I feel like that needs to be really addressed, because we're the only DME medical supplier for many things, and we service 6 counties. So we have 10 branches. We service a lot of people, and we put their healthcare needs first. I am a huge supporter of the parade and these things, serve hot chocolate myself. I go and I love it. But that does not change the fact that during street closures, my building has to be, according to Medicare, accessible. And accessible isn't parking down by Easy Sales when you can't walk. That's not fair. And it's not going to let me maintain my accreditation licensure. We already have some battles that we have to deal with red tape and insurances. I don't feel like battling the city that I love is one of them. I don't think that should be a deal. I think we need to look at an additional handicap parking place in front of a medical store. I think we need to give real consideration to where the street closures are, and they're getting bigger. They're getting bigger, they're getting longer. Our parade was like a record, breaking year this year. It was fun, but it was a long, long one. And so that was that much time that my store would not have been accessible to very many people in the event of emergencies, which is a really big deal if it's your family. And so I want to make sure that that gets looked at and more attention drawn to that, where the parade goes, where the food trucks park, where is parking, and now the Dollar General area is no longer available for parking. It's shifted, and we always have the spots in front of us, and now it's tax time.
Ma'am, no, we're hitting the 3-minute point.
Okay, I apologize. I would just like to say thank you for the time and consideration.
Okay, thank you.
I'm Judy Gernendijk. I'm the owner of Brush by Jude, 116 First Avenue East. Mr. Mayor and Council, thank you for allowing me to come here. Can you hear me okay? I'm speaking also in regard to the proposed street closings for 2024. I'd like you to take into consideration the effect that the street closings have on retail as well as the frequency of closings and the placement of activities. Last year, I counted 10 street closings on the 100 block of First Avenue East. Some were proposed by the Main Street and some were by other entities. 7 of those were in the summer months and 2 were both Friday and Saturday, back-to-back street closings. This year, I count the same number in the summer months, June to September. Not all of these were requested by Main Street. I do have in my hand here a letter from the Oskaloosa area, or the Oskaloosa Main Street to the Oskaloosa area merchants, mapping out street closings for July 27, which I understand has not been approved yet. So this was dated February 6th. Parking downtown has had its issues for many years, and you know that. I didn't know if you knew that when the 3 sides of the square are closed for events, 94 parking spots are taken away. 7 to 9 of those are handicap. So that equals basically 100 parking spaces that are not available to the public. This decreases the potential foot traffic to retail business immensely. 0 foot traffic is retail suicide. The lack of foot traffic not only affects my business, but the 12 vendors that reside in my location. If I don't have foot traffic, they don't have foot traffic, and that equals $0 in sales. The barricade placement as well as the ban placement also affects retail that's not located on closed streets. Main Street has received thousands of grant dollars to update our historical downtown. Yet we barricade streets, eliminate parking to retail, and block the view of our beautiful facade updates on a regular basis. All of this affects the livelihood of Oskaloosa's retail businesses. In my case specifically, numerous food trucks are lined up on First Avenue East, literally building a wall that blocks the view of my business from the events taking place on the square. Again, this allows for no foot traffic and $0 in sales. Let me be clear, I'm not opposed to food trucks. I'm not opposed to the events. I support them. I purchase meals. I attend the events. But do I think we can do better? Yes. In speaking with a variety of business owners involved within the events, I have helpful suggestions that I think we can all work with and keep our downtown viable at the same time.
Ma'am, we're hitting the 3-minute
Okay.
point.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello. Nick Ryan, 1851 260th Street, Oskaloosa. The Iowa Public Information Board, the government watchdog agency charged with enforcing Iowa's public information and open meetings laws, recently held a hearing in reference to and voted to accept 4 complaints about secret meetings conducted by the South Central Regional Airport Agency's Executive Committee. During these secret meetings, members of the SCRAW board, including Jim Hansen, who is appointed by this body, decided who would be benefiting from leasing land owned by Pella and Oskaloosa taxpayers without an open bidding process, without exploring the options, and again, in blatant violation of Iowa's open meetings laws. In her remarks and pretty feeble attempt to defend SCRA actions, SCRA attorney Amy Beatty, during this hearing, asserted that the SCRA Executive Committee wasn't actually the Executive Committee, that in fact it wasn't even a governmental body, an assertion that was immediately refuted by the Iowa Public Information Board. These secret meetings were so blatantly outside the bounds of the law that she had to make the point to the Iowa Public Information Board that the SCRA had no intent to violate the law. I'm pretty sure that anyone with a decent set of eyes, ears, and a handful of functioning brain cells can see it's pretty obvious that these individuals who are pretty sharp and pretty smart knew exactly what they were doing and knew full well that these meetings were in violation of the law. At the end of the day, this body is responsible for how OSKI appointees to the SCRA conduct themselves. The buck stops here. Jim Hansen and Pam Blomgren need to be removed from the SCRAW board immediately. Our city manager needs removed as a staff member from the SCRAW. And finally, it's time to pull out. It is time to withdraw from the 2080 agreement once and for all. It only gets more interesting from here. More to come. Thank you all. Have a lovely evening.
Thank you. Anyone else care to speak tonight?
He's been waiting.
Just to speak so I can get to Atoma for the ball game. Wendell Campbell, 818 High Avenue East. Here, a lot of things going on within the city and the public comments here. I'd like to echo some of the comments made about the size of our square and the parking that's available. Why the forefathers at some point decided to make one of our square one of the smallest in the area. I go through places like Brant was saying earlier, go through places around us like Albia and Bloomfield and Centerville, and I'm envious at the size of the layout of what is there. It would be great to have a larger square area. Fact is, our square is what it is. I currently organize probably the second and third largest events. Right, I haven't beat the parade just quite yet, but we're working on that. We're hoping that our concert on the square event will attract more people this year than the parade did. We try our best with what we have, with the streets and the location, the center of our city, what I consider the heart of our city. When people ask about our events that we host downtown, we've been asked in the past about moving our events. The fairgrounds comes to mind. There's some other areas. I think there's something within the heart of our city that centers around the bandstand and the square. So moving our events, though it may logistically create some easier times for our teams and things like that, we have grown our barbecue competition to a little over 3,000 people. I think last year, Dee, you could back me up on the numbers as far as what we had tracked there. A little over 3,000 people coming into our square on Friday night, and then again on Saturday for the fundraiser for our first responders in Mahaska County. Moving that event, I think, takes it out of the heart of our city, takes some of the soul out of our event. The vendors, or at least the businesses around the square, are certainly challenged with that. We opened the door to see how we could help to do that. We're looking at this year maybe rearranging the stage in some of that location. I know in the past it's been very challenging to businesses like True Value. They've also found some ways to be creative during our event in order to do some sidewalk sales and things like that that are more conducive to their business. So we're all challenged with kind of the same thing. We all want to be here and be in the same space and utilize it for the betterment of our community. With having these special events, or at least having these events to get people together within the center of our community, I think is still very important. I think about every interview I've ever done for the events that I have been a part of. I think Bev asks me every year on the radio when we release our artists for the Concert on the Square, why Concert on the Square? One, we couldn't name it Concert on the Square if we moved it somewhere else. And honestly, I think Edmondson Park is a beautiful area and a great amphitheater and would be a great venue for that as well. But it's not Concert on the Square if it's not on the square. And so with that, there are certainly some challenges. And from a retail business perspective, I understand that. I get that as well. When the restriping and everything of A Avenue was done, we had a period of about 3 weeks. There was 1 week I showed up and A Avenue was closed down completely in front of my business, and that creates a very hard from a service industry business like what I am, but from a retail business as well. It creates a lot of challenges. And so I think we have a lot of willing parties willing to work through a lot of those sort of challenges that are there. But I just think we lose some of the effectiveness of our events if we're not in the heart of our city and what we have. So I appreciate you all's time. Thank you guys for the work that you do and the jobs that you do. This is not an easy place to be, and I don't think we're in an impasse, but hopefully we can come to a common ground with the retailers.
Okay. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mark Mish. I live at 1113 10th Avenue East. I've never done this before, so I'm green at it. I've got sewer problems, and they always tell 8-inch sewer. It goes down 9th Avenue East, down to South 9th, and it goes down to the end of South 9th, and there's 3 houses that are hooked up to that. That's the only 3 that's hooked up to that manhole. And mine, I don't know where it goes. I've had 5 neighbors, and we've all had road rooter stuff. And last time Cody clean my sewer out, and it took 65 feet to clean it out. They put a push out in down by the street. So the last time he checked in the house, it was clean, and he checked the street, and it was plugged. And I don't know what you like, but you wake up in the middle of the night and smell shit in your basement. That's not a good deal. I've called the city, I called the sewer department, and the street department, and they don't want nothing to do with me. They don't want to talk to me. I had Humphrey from the city come down. He said, well, we'll put some dye in it and see where it goes. And he says, if I go that one down 9th Avenue, he says, you can't. I said, there's only 3 houses in that sewer there. He put it in there, come back a few hours later, he said, oh, it's not there. And I said, I know it wasn't. I don't know where it is. Meanwhile, a buddy of mine got a metal detector, and we found 2 manholes on 10th Avenue that's covered up with seal coat. You can't get to. And I don't know if you get the city to do it or not, but this Humphrey put the dye in, and he come back about the middle of the afternoon, and he says they can't find nothing yet. He come back about 5:30, and knocked on the door. He says, I got some news for you. I said, what's that? The city, his boss, told me to wash my hands of it and not to talk to me anymore. So, and I know the city has come down their clean out machine and cleaned South 9th out before. And why they can't run a camera down and see where mine's go. Hell, mine might go to a sewer somewhere, to a creek somewhere. I don't know where it goes. But I think they need to come down and run a camera down through it to see where it goes for sure. I spend about $2,800 now on clean outs and sewer to get it cleaned out. Knock on wood, right now, it is running right now. But it's a mess when you get in the middle of the night and put in the basement, got that much crap in the basement. So, and I have talked to Rhonda a little bit, and Jen, I talked to her a little bit after last meeting, but that's all I got. But there is 5 people on that, and one of them, Travis Woodard, he said he had his cleaned out on right before the first of the year, and he said it went out 216 foot. That's halfway, 3/4, that's a long ways before they could break through it, he said. And they told me that a 6-inch was not standard anymore. They wouldn't do nothing with 6-inch. I called Eric Dursky, and he brought a map down.
Okay, we're hitting the 3-minute point.
Okay. He brought a map down, and he showed me, and there's no main on 9th Avenue or 10th Avenue East, and there is one there.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
That might be private.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak tonight?
I'm John Riken, president of Roll Movies right now, and I just,
The name and address, your name we got, but address please?
2689 215th Street,
Okay.
Sharon, Iowa,
Okay.
country. So, there's not a whole lot I can add to the chamber representative, but we're getting ready to put on our 35th car show. We bring about 500 or 600 people to town, and I would hate to see these kind of events. We have a beautiful downtown. We get a lot of comments from our car show participants, and so I'd like to encourage you to continue to let us use the streets.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Okay.
Thanks, John.
Thank you. Anyone else who would like to speak tonight? Okay.
Jennifer Roma, 705 A Avenue East. I'm the owner of Shop Gin Miracle on the square, 119 South Market. I did not plan on speaking tonight. I just came to be reviewed. After listening to them, it's not about canceling the events. That's not what we're complaining about. We're just complaining about parking. The parking around the square is hard enough for our customers. I get people all the time coming in and saying, I wish I could come in yesterday, but I couldn't because there wasn't a parking spot. And events are not what we're complaining about. If anything, we plan our weekends around those events. We participate in those events. I have sales around those events. We also have our own events that we have done for the past year and a half now. So that's not what we're complaining about. We're just complaining about the parking. And that's it. If we could do anything to open the parking. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else who would like to speak tonight? Okay, moving on. Item 5 is the consideration and adoption of the consent agenda as presented. I would call out to the council, there are a few items here. Item I is a resolution setting the time and place for a public hearing for the purpose of considering the proposed property tax rate and levy for the city's fiscal year 2025 budget. That hearing is on March 25th. Item J is a resolution setting the date for a public hearing on plans and specifications, authorizing advertisement of bids for the North Park Sanitary Sewer Improvement Project. That hearing is going to be on April 1st. And then item K is a resolution setting a public hearing for March 18th of 2024, levying a special assessment for a nuisance abatement at 806 North H. This is in accordance with Oskaloosa Municipal Code 8.08.080. This hearing is, if you look at the agenda, you see item A is also a special assessment for a nuisance abatement at 806 North H. So the hearing we've got on the regular agenda is for abatement that was done on October 27th of 2023. The scheduled hearing on item K is for abatement that was done on November 10th of 2023. So two separates. We have a motion of support for the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ocean,
Yes.
Allman,
Yes.
Calgery,
Yes.
Drost,
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Okay, item A. This is to consider a resolution levying a special assessment for nuisance abatement at 806 North H. Certified notices were sent to the property owner, and a notice will be published in the Oskaloosa Herald. If approved, the property owner has 30 days from the time of filing with the Mahaska County Treasurer to pay for the abatement in the city clerk's office. After 30 days, they will be assessed to their property taxes with a payment schedule at 9% interest. Nuisance abatement was performed in accordance with Oskaloosa Municipal Code on property at 806 North H. And the house was in the process of being condemned. There was still trash and junk around the property, and an emergency abatement was conducted. So I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to speak to this? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Do we have a motion of support for levying the special assessment for the nuisance abatement?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Allman,
Yes.
Calgery,
Yes.
Drost,
Yes.
Ocean,
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Item B, it's a resolution on the vacation and sale of a 121-foot by 12-foot section of the east-west alley adjacent to 801 South C Street. Staff received an alley vacate request from Albert and Martha Sanders. They're the owners of property located at 801 South C Street for the 121-foot by 12-foot east-west alley adjacent to their property. Mr. Sanders has listed reasoning for the request to purchase the alley as it is right-of-way for his property. He would like to park vehicles there and maintain upkeep of the area. Subject alley is located in a residential R2 zoning district. Planning and Zoning Commission considered the request at their meeting on February 6th of 2024, recommended approving the alley vacation by a vote of 5-0. Staff conducted a survey of the property owners and utility companies who have direct access to the portion of the alley. 6 neighboring property owners were surveyed and 4 responses received. Of the 5 responses, 3 were opposed and 2 were not opposed, although one of the responses was verbal rather than a return survey. The opposed responses included a maintenance concerns for the city-owned property to the north, who use the alley to maintain the steep embankment on the property, and safety concerns on accessing the alley from South D Street rather than South C. In a survey of utility companies, one has indicated there is an electric pole located in the alley. The pole provides electrical service to the applicant. Staff has recommended the City Council approve this request. contingent of an easement for city maintenance purposes. So I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to speak to this? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Do we have a motion of support for the resolution?
So moved. Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Caligiuri,
Yes.
Drost,
Yes.
Ocean,
Yes.
Almond,
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Gets us to item C. This is to consider a resolution approving the sale of real estate, described as Lot 5 of Block 7 of the original plat of the city of Oskaloosa. And so now is the time and place set for a public hearing on the proposed sale of 204 North C Street. The city is the holder of record, title to real estate located there, legally described as Lot 5 of Block 7 of the original plat of the city of Oskaloosa. City staff received an offer from Cabell Chawan to purchase the lot for the sum of $50,000, and then it was subsequently raised to a sum of $60,000, with $10,000 earnest money having been tendered with the offer. Iowa Code Section 364.7 provides that a city may not dispose of an interest in real estate without a public hearing, after which a city may make a final determination upon the proposal by resolution. While the city has received the offer as noted, there has also been some indication of interest from other potential purchasers who may or may not wish to offer more for the property at the time set for the hearing. So I'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to speak to this tonight? Yes, sir.
Good evening. Thank you for giving me the chance to speak. So my wife and I own Cork and Bottle for almost 18 years now. We've been paying rent on that building, and it's finally time for us to have our own building. So we would like to build our business on this new building. The building we have right now is very old, and it wasn't even a liquor store. It used to be some auto repair shop. So it's got a lot of space that we're not able to use. So I have my contractor here, Russ Parker. We've been talking for a few months about making a new liquor store there. So I would like to request you guys to approve that sale for my business. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you. Anyone else who would care to speak? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Do we have a motion of support for approving the sale of the real estate?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Drost,
Yes.
Ocean,
Yes.
Almond,
Yes.
Caligiuri,
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Item D. This is to consider a motion to approve Mahaska Chamber and Development Group and Oskaloosa Main Street's annual calendar of events. The right page here. So there is a request reflecting dates for promotions and activities in which Mahaska Chamber Development Group would like to use city property. Associated street closure fees are being waived per council adopted 2024 fee schedule. We have a listing of the individual events before us. And I guess I'll open it up to the council comments. Does anyone have any backup? We need a motion before we discuss it.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, there's the motion and second. Any comments? Go ahead, Lisa.
Comments on?
On what we've heard in the comments to the council beforehand. Any opinions you have on this, or nothing at all?
Well, I've always been kind of interested in our square. It is a little different. I didn't know about the size of it, and I've studied squares and that. We've got an unusual square because we've got the courthouse on one side of it, not in the center, and that. So that makes it a little different. And then we've got a vacant area and a bank next to it. And then we have a lot of businesses that often don't belong on a square, so to speak. So it's a unique, it's not all retail or restaurants, you know, like Clarinda has and things like that. Like Brant, I spend a lot of time looking at other squares in that study. I've wondered if there's a couple things we maybe could move, and if there's maybe a better use of space next to the courthouse. I've often thought that would be a good, like, little food truck courtyard versus the bank of, you know, And I've often thought the barbecue for badges, I get a little confused why it's on the square. Maybe it could be in front of the firehouse, you know, just a block down.
I don't know there would be enough room though with as many as Wendell has. Like, if you've ever been to barbecue for badges, it's
No, I
pretty
know.
much takes up the whole
I know.
square, you know, or the whole.
Right, but if there's some things we could shift just a little bit, you know, it might, you know, I don't know how much of a space study we've done on that and how much space is needed. I appreciate the concerts there, you know, but we also now have some good venues. I know Bob's son did the amphitheater, and we have some things like that. So I hate for small towns to get afraid of any change, you know, so.
I have a couple things, Mayor, if you don't mind. So I actually had talked to Judy way back when, and I went around the square. I didn't go everywhere, but I went around the square, and I actually talked to Stu even before Stu worked for the city, and I just wanted to be concerned about, because parking is an issue, and not to blame Musco, but we really have a parking issue now, right? Because now everybody from Musco, I mean, right, we have remodeling going on, right? I mean, we're not stupid here, it's gonna be nice. But I also look at two things. We're gonna have a parking garage that will be accessible. Obviously, it'll be accessible for Musco during their day, but for these events, correct me if I'm wrong, Bob, the parking garage
It's in discussion right now.
will be in discussion to be able to be used. But that frees up, there is a lot of parking that can be used that is not being used right now because of remodeling. But getting back to Judy, I went around the square and because I was concerned, and she'd reached out to me, and I found the opposite. I found that people thought it was a really great thing. A lot of the places were closed by 5 o'clock, so some of the things still affect the rolling oldies. I know my husband brings his old truck up here, or during the day, but a lot of the things they either closed a little earlier or it was after their shops were already closed. But the foot traffic, they said, was remarkable. And like I talked to a couple people that brought food trucks from other places. I work actually out west. I don't work in Oskaloosa, so I work out west. Was some of the best that they've done. I actually came to Art on the Square. I actually worked Art on the Square. I wanted to be involved. I came to both of the Live After Fives. I did not participate in the one that rained because I'm a fair weather person. I came to the Christian concert, and I've never seen so many license plates and people in my life. It was amazing. I did not come to every event. I will say that, but I feel like for 7, 8, 9, 10, I don't know how many events there are total. I know that it affects, I understand what Judy's saying, but I also feel like I'm a member of the Legion. We're members, and I worked the parade. Chief saw me. That parade, you guys, I'm 52 years old, was amazing for this community. I'm not trying to be funny. I've never enjoyed myself so much as I did this year, and I'm 52. So I want to be able to work with Judy. I want to be able to say that there's a way that we can, maybe I understand it, but I also feel like our square, our chamber, or whoever, everybody, all the events that we have on here really brings a lot of people, and not just from Oskaloosa, but from all over. And I understand what you're saying, Lisa,
Yeah.
maybe categorizing a couple other things, but I just feel like,
Yeah.
I hope that there's an answer that we can come to, and I do feel like there's maybe a little work, but I sure don't want to see our square not be taken, because there's so many people that have come up to me and just said amazing things, and like I said, I witnessed it this year too, so that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, come on up. No, you got to get to the microphone.
I just want to say I agree with you. There are a lot of people in town for these events, and if we made an assumption that you thought we wanted those canceled, no, not at all. Let me be clear, that's not my intent. But the foot traffic does not come in the stores. They're here for the events. So they're not shopping events. People come out. They come to Sweet Corn Serenade. They don't come to shop. They come to the parade. They don't come to shop necessarily. They don't want to carry packages around in 20-degree weather while they're waiting for the parade. So I agree with you. There's huge numbers. That's not the issue. It's just that the lack of parking and the event that's going on affects the retail businesses. Do you understand what I'm saying?
No, I want to.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking at all these events here. Some are on the weekends, but I think the ones that affect the business downtown are the ones on the weekdays, where they close the street down some of these, they're closing some of the streets down at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so they can bring the vendors can come in to offload for the Art on the Square, for example.
Sweet Corn Serenade, I believe, is on
That too, and then there's another event here.
Yeah.
The street closes at 6 a.m. in the morning till 11 p.m. That's the Sweet Corn Serenade.
Yeah.
That's on a Thursday, so that kills what your point you're getting at, you know.
Yeah.
And also,
It's the prep time.
the cones
Yeah.
are put out first thing in the morning.
Pardon?
That's when the street is closed at 3:30. The cones are still out at 8 o'clock in the morning.
The next
And
morning?
I think that confuses the
Oh,
public
okay, yeah.
because they
Yeah,
see the
I think-
cone
Yeah.
and there's a sign on it, but they can't read that sign from driving their car.
I don't read the sign when I drive by me either. So.
Joe just parks there
I'm gonna
anyway.
park. If not sitting in there, I'm gonna park.
So one of my solutions was that if we could have the cones not put, understand that the city has a lot more things to do that day than just cones. But if they could be put out later, that would be very helpful, because again, I think it's confusing to the public to see a cone there and they just don't park. And the visitors in town, when they see barricades and they see cones, they're not familiar with what's going on, and they drive on by and leave
Right,
town.
right. And in a situation like that, I've seen it myself. They could set those cones like in the alley, getting ready to go out later.
And
Not the way they do
I
it.
did ask Dee last year if I could move them, the ones in front of my store, there's 3. If I could move them to the side, set a timer on my phone, bring them back out. And so that's something that we worked out ourselves, but I think if we could do it around the whole square, would that be an option?
And I know Matt's not here, I know he's in class, but I'm assuming the reason that we do that is so that we don't have to tow cars, right? So that we can, that it's, so we don't have people parking there, right? So maybe we could put it to where it's no parking after Chief?
Yeah, so in the past, we did try and put them out later, and people didn't know they couldn't park there. They would leave their car there for hours. We ended up having to tow cars if we couldn't get a hold of them.
That's what I thought you
So
were.
we've tried to get them out earlier as a warning, so people understand this is gonna be a tow zone here in a few hours. You can't just leave your vehicle here. And unfortunately, that's what it got to. We had to put them out.
That's what I figured was.
Okay. Okay.
Maybe has the businesses talked to the chamber in regards to these types of events? What other plans we could be worked around? Okay. Because all we do is give them permission to close the street, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm sure something could be worked out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe not right here at the moment, but
Yeah. And I'd like to see a study, because we don't have 4 equal sides. One's a highway, one's a courthouse, we just have an unusual square. It's not 4 equal.
Didn't we rearrange some food trucks too to make some or didn't they do something on the square to make some clearance or vision better, right? Moving things?
Yeah.
Help me out.
Yeah, I believe that's correct. I don't remember the specifics, but there, you recall some conversation, yes.
another suggestion here, like on the, where is it? Out in the square. Because those 3 rows are pretty wide. So if they want to get ready to set up for Art on the Square, that's a Saturday, I don't want that one.
Art on the Square only shows closed on the courthouse
Yeah,
side.
there was one I was reading here, but the point I was getting at, when the vendors are getting ready to set up, like the sweet corn, for example, maybe just part of that, half of that street could be blocked so the vendors can offload, leave the other side open, on the business side, so there's parking. And I think something like that could be worked out. I'm just brainstorming here, but
Okay.
without looking at it. But I think that's something between the chamber and the businesses, can work something out on that. It's tough, I know. Yeah, real estate, parking real estate. Yeah, we don't have much of that.
Yeah. Other comments from council members?
I would just say, I'm not a business owner for a number of reasons. I've had my opportunities, and I've declined those opportunities every time they've come to me. Why? Because there's certain things that I don't want to personally deal with. So I'm not in your shoes, Judy, or Sheila, or Jen. I'm not there. What I do hear time and time again, and what I see, is that small towns, I'm going to consider Oskaloosa a small town, right? I mean, compared to Des Moines or otherwise.
there's always a conversation, what can we do to make our town, and especially our downtown, vibrant?
Yep.
What can we do to bring people downtown? And time again, I see art on the square, the place is packed. Some of those people are local people, okay? But a lot of them are from out of town. And you especially see that with the Christmas parade.
The Christian
you know,
concert.
The Christian concert. They're coming from all over the place. And if I am a small business owner, I'm marketing the heck out of my business during those times. Now, and I know you are. And Jen, to your point, you know, Rhonda brought it up. I work at Musco. I'm sorry for the parking issues that we've caused right now. It will get better.
It will.
But some of that, I know it's not just a 2023, 2024 issue that we're talking about here. But I know personally with our construction project going on, I'm walking a couple of blocks. I'm not in the position that Sheila's customers are in, right? I mean, I am thankful that I can walk 2 blocks from the parking lot that I park in now to my office. But I just think that if we change things too much, I think that we lose what a lot of people come to the community, come to Oskaloosa for. Can we shut down 2 sides of the square instead of 3? I don't know. Rolling Oldies, there's a lot of cars there.
Yeah, there's a lot of cars.
And people come from all over for that. You know, where do we do it? Do we do it at the fairgrounds?
Yeah.
The downfall of doing it at the fairgrounds is the people are going to the fairgrounds and they're not here. They're not downtown where a lot of our businesses are at. And there's no businesses at in that general vicinity. So, you know, when we talk about the Northwest Bypass and the Southeast Connector, when we talk about taking truck traffic out of downtown, you know, there's one side of the coin where I've heard it say that that's going to kill our small businesses downtown. I will go to my grave disagreeing with that, because I have had developers who have had successful projects in other smaller towns that say when we take the truck traffic out of downtown, that makes Oskaloosa even more marketable to businesses looking to come in. Makes it more walkable. It makes it safer. Honestly, I don't have to smell the hog trucks going by as I'm shopping for clothes, or as I'm enjoying food at Smoky Row or any of the other restaurants around the square. So there's so many ways that I just struggle to see where the benefit is. Lack of parking is an inconvenience, and something we just have to continue to explore and understand how we can address that. But I think that we're doing our community a disservice by not supporting the events. No, and I understand, Judy. Now I can, you know, again, long term as a city, maybe we need to look at building a city parking garage. Okay, if we go back 30 years ago, the city lot behind just west of the Herald building, there was conversation about building a parking garage there. Okay, something to consider. Not sure where the money's going to come from. Maybe there's a parking ramp company that would build it and you know, charge $5 an hour or whatever that is, like big cities. But those are the things that we've got to look at. Is there ways that we can better utilize some of the other city parking lots? You know, right now for work, I'm parking at the Elks in this small city lot by the Elks. We've got yards. Can we better utilize those areas? So I think to Sheila's point with the handicap spaces, I know we've talked about that in council meetings before. I think that's something that we should continue to evaluate, and maybe there's an answer, maybe there's not. Sean's telling me to shut up right now, but I do think there's value in those conversations. So there's no easy solution. Again, if I could spend the $10+ million to build a city parking garage, that would be an option.
I think it's more so can we rearrange things, like you
Right,
said.
right.
I think that's honestly, it does come down to parking, but more so can we move the van?
Right.
Like, why is it angled? Why can't it be in front of the courthouse or barbecue badges or?
Right. Right, there's,
And that's the point I was getting at.
Yeah.
To get with the chamber.
Rearrange things and it
Yeah,
would
right.
make a huge difference. I
Right.
really do.
Right, I agree, yep.
yeah. But I think we're gonna need a little push to get that rearranging. It's like doing a new room in the house. You gotta have a little push to do it. Otherwise, let's just keep it the same. And maybe putting some of the burden on the events to do some shuttling and some, where do you park? When you're new to this town, you don't know where to go. I mean, I drove up to one event, I might as well just have gone back home and parked in my garage. There was nowhere to go. And then someone's screaming at me in the third lane, and anyway, to Brant's point, that third lane saved my life, so good or bad. But maybe there's some of the things we could do to shuttle, the barbecue for badges. I'd pay to go ride in the police car, and get well, you're raising money. And the dog shuttle, I mean, we could get some horse-drawn carriages, doing some things like that, so.
And I don't know if I can be helpful here, because I know there have been conversations kind of going back and forth between the council, but
Introduce
I
yourself.
can maybe speak a little bit to it. I'm Allison McGuire. I'm 1915 North 3rd Street, Oskaloosa. I'm the Main Street president right now. And I can just speak to the council to say, like, I'm a volunteer for Main Street, but I would just say that from my experience, when these concerns are raised, staff does an excellent job of bringing people to the table, and the meetings that I've gone to have included the police chief, they've included the sheriff, they've included people that really understand the safety needs and have talked to the business owners. So I think as we're considering what those changes are, there have been conversations around the table, and there can certainly continue to be. A lot of it is that willingness to stick with it. I think the last conversation we had was before the lighted Christmas parade, but after the summer events. So some of the things that we've talked about in the past 6 months, we're not to the new events yet. So I think that that's just something that the council should know as well, is that as a volunteer, somebody that's not getting paid, just like you all, to go to these meetings, like, I've been really impressed with how much our city staff and our chamber and Main Street staff have come to the table and kept that conversation open. And so that flow of communication just needs to keep going back and forth so we can tweak things.
Well, and if I'm speaking out of line a little bit, when my husband used to work, I think the reason they did the stage like they did was to keep the traffic out, because they kept having trouble with keeping people coming in. That's why that's kind of, because that's such a block that's that's actually how that originated. That's what he was told me you can't believe people would still like to drive in through places that they don't need to.
And that's why we
Through
really
events.
appreciate the chief and the sheriff, because that's the angle that they come at from those things too. So I just thought that could be helpful.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
But the concert on the square is in the middle, correct?
What was that?
I didn't
The
hear.
concert on the square is in the middle, the stage.
No.
It was last year. So. And I'd love to know what the meetings are, because I've never been told about the meetings. If we can come, I don't know.
Good.
Any other comments from
Nope.
council?
Nope.
The resolution is to approve the Main Street's annual calendar of events. Roll call, please.
Ocean,
Yes.
Coleman,
Yes.
Calgery,
Yes.
Dross,
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Item E. This is to consider an ordinance amending Chapter 8.28 having to do with stormwater drainage utility for the city of Oskaloosa. Staff is recommending updates to Section 8.28, which clarifies some of the language in the code, and the summary of the changes are that in 828.050, the stormwater utility charge combines and rewords subsections D and E to clarify who the charges will be applying to. 8.28.060B, calculation of equivalent residential units and amount of charge, replaces the existing rate of $2 per ERU with, before July 1 of 2024, it was $2. From July 21 of 2024 through June 30 of 2025, that's $3 per ERU. In July 1 of 2025 through June 30 of 2026, it goes to $4, and then July 1st of 2026 thereafter, it's at $5 per ERU. Staff is recommending council approve this second reading of the ordinance as presented. Do we have a motion of support?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Almond,
Yes.
Calgery,
Yes.
Dross,
Yes.
Ocean,
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Item F. This is an ordinance amending Municipal Code Chapter 13.08.570A. This is the second reading. Sanitary sewer collection and treatment is a critical service and is funded by the Enterprise Utility Fund. And as such, the revenues generated through the rates have to be spent on operation of the utility. Improvements to the sanitary sewer system have been made due to the age and mandates received from the Iowa Department of Natural Resources and the Environmental Protection Agency. At the direction of City Council, the department embarked upon improvement plans and operational changes to meet the requirements. Part of the planning is to make sure the fund has the capacity for financing the construction of a new wastewater treatment facility project, which is necessitating rate increases. Impact associated with this proposed action is an increase of $1.87 per month on the average user. Do you have a motion of support on this second reading?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Was this on the sewer rate?
Yes.
Yes.
I thought that was not as much on that spreadsheet. The rate increase on that spreadsheet? It wasn't $1.87, was it?
No, that's the impact, estimated impact. It's 3%.
Okay.
Other comments? Roll call, please.
Calgery,
Yes.
Dross,
Yes.
Ocean,
Yes.
Almond,
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Okay, that gets us to the end of our regular agenda. Reports from city staff. City manager, anything? Okay, city clerk?
Nothing, sir.
Okay. City attorney?
Nothing, thank you, sir.
Okay. Then let's go to council members. Rhonda?
No, thank you, Mayor.
Bob?
No, sir, thank you.
Okay, Bob, or Joe?
No.
Lisa?
I did want to address the gentleman's concern on the wastewater and the sewage, and that when I was a homeowner and I found out I'm responsible for the water pipes and the sewage pipes and the sidewalks, and put fear into my heart, on these things that could go wrong and the amount of money in that. And when I had an unexpected water rate go up and talking to my insurance agent, you can get a hidden water policy rider for $14 a year. And that way, if there's something between my house and the street or the sewer and that, it will take care of that.
It's line between the house to the sewer, it's
Yeah.
the sewer line's bad.
Yeah. So anyway, that alleviated some, concern and it was a policy I had never heard of. And, for $14 a year, it gave me a little bit of peace of mind.
I don't know if it's true or not, but Eric Dursky told me the map he had was 2016,
Yeah.
and he said that's when the city manager changed, and that's who changed all this, 6-inch sewer pipe wasn't
Mm-hmm.
made. I mean, it was any less than 8 inches, they wouldn't fool with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know tree roots caused all sorts of havoc in one of my houses.
You couldn't drive tree roots in a week and a half.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway.
Okay. And I've got nothing to add at this point other than I want to say a special thank you to Bob Drost for Mayor Pro Temming at the last meeting. I thought he did a fine job.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was worth every penny that he got paid extra for that. So next item up is the opportunity for a closed session. This is to consider holding a closed session under Iowa Code Section 21.5.1C. And this is to discuss strategy with legal counsel on a matter that's presently in litigation or in which litigation is imminent, where disclosure would likely prejudice or disadvantage the city's position. So I'll go ahead and ask for the motion and vote and then read the text afterwards. Do we have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Dross,
Yes.
Ocean,
Yes.
Almond,
Yes.
Calgery,
Yes.
Okay, so acting pursuant to the requirements of Iowa Public Information Board, I, Mayor David Kreutzfeld, state and indicate that the closed session to follow is to discuss strategy in a pending matter with legal counsel for the city of Oskaloosa, acting pursuant to the contract existing between the parties. And so we are going to go into closed session at this time. And thank you very much for being here. Okay, we are meeting back in open session. Having finished our closed session, there is nothing to do pursuant to that. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.